Dr. John Montalvo, and I'm representing Advanced EL Lighting Solutions. Our lighting device is going to revolutionize the way we do farming. See, traditional farming, traditional rural farming, throughout the ages has been using the ox and plow as well as the mechanized equipment in order to do farming, which leaves a large carbon footprint. Lots of diesel fuel is used in order to produce crops today. But we've come up with a kind of solution. Well, I'm sorry. There are problems with traditional farming in terms of they're always subject to climate change, to climate issues. Too much water, not enough water, chemical petrofertilizers, herbicides, pesticides that are being used, drought conditions. And we've come up with a solution to a certain extent by going into the greenhouse. This is the future of farming. There's 11,000 acres today of greenhouse farming. In fact, you're probably picking a lot of their produce in the local markets that are coming from greenhouses. In fact, recently, New York City passed an ordinance where you can actually grow your produce on top of the roof of the buildings, where you can set up greenhouses and grow your produce. Now, what happens with this type of situation, you can actually control the climate. You can use actually 90% less water to produce produce. The traditional farm is using about 2/3 of all the fresh water to produce produce. You can control the air. By controlling the air and the environment, you don't have to worry about using pesticides and herbicides. But there's still an issue. Because right now, as the sun is now heading to the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere is getting less radiation, meaning the light that's necessary to produce photosynthesis is not enough in order to produce the produce. And this is where our solution comes in. The electrical light. The electrical light is energy efficient. We've estimated that you can save about 70% in electrical cost. The electrical light, you can actually tune the light to the proper light spectrum that's necessary for photosynthesis. You see, for photosynthesis to happen, plants do not need the yellow spectrum of the light. They only need the blue or the red spectrum of the light. Thus, depending on the crop that you're growing, you can actually tune the light to that particular spectrum that's necessary for plant growth. In doing that, you can actually grow plants 2 to 4 times faster, as well as producing 10 to 20 times greater yields per crop per acre than traditional rural farming. And we did a competitive analysis. We were in contact with Village Market, which is one of the largest, I should say Village Farms, one of the largest greenhouse operations in North America. And they recently purchased 13,000 Philips lights. They're our main competitor. The problem with the Philips light is that it actually produces light throughout the entire spectrum, thus using more electricity. You can see their initial cost of getting into and buying our light is about $50 less. So ours costs $250 to Philips $300. But in total cost of operations, we can actually save Village Farms about almost 50% in operating costs, which we estimated in one greenhouse we can save them $800,000 per greenhouse that can go directly to the bottom line. On top of that, again, the Philips light bulb, you cannot tune their light to the proper spectrum, where you can tune ours to the proper light spectrum for optimum plant growth. We found a research paper out there that actually talks about the market share that was by Village Green Market research company. In 2011, the estimated market for grow lights was around $750 million. In 2018, they're expecting that market to be $4 billion. And in our estimate, right now in the 3rd year, we're only looking at capturing about 1% of that market, which is about $2 million worth of product to be sold. But we're looking at an annual growth rate of about 500% or more. You have to remember that this grow light is for a niche market, greenhouses. We're not selling to the general public, though in the future that's a possibility. So the growth rate could actually be 3 times that, 4 times that. Our customers is Village Farms. They're one of the largest grow houses in the greenhouse grow houses in the country. Euro Farms, which is one of the largest operations in Europe, and Hydro Farms. Hydro Farms actually sells hydroponic equipment. And we're looking at drop shipping our light to them so they can go ahead and distribute it to the smaller greenhouses. Here's our financial projections. As you can see, we're looking at a break-even, a total development cost of about less than $1.1 million to go ahead and develop and get this product out into the market. Our break-even is looking at occurring around the 4th month of the 3rd year. And we're looking at a internal rate of return of about 18%. But the rate of investment on return is about 56%. This is the funding milestones that we have. We need about $160,000 in order to develop the prototype from the University of Florida and also get the patents. We're looking about $360,000 in order for certification, because we're looking at getting UL certification. And we believe that we will be the first grow light ever certified by UL laboratories. That should give us a competitive advantage, as well as the cost of operations of ours. We're looking at further testing and then beginning manufacturing around the beginning of the 3rd quarter of the 2nd year, with sales beginning around the 1st part of the 4th quarter. And then sales ramping up and manufacturing ramping up around the beginning of the 4th quarter, which we need about $500,000. Here's the opportunity. I talked about urban farming. We have the opportunity of taking this light, and there's so many different buildings that are empty, especially in this community. We have empty strip malls that we can actually turn them into urban farms. We can actually employ people to become farmers and bring produce not from thousands or hundreds of miles away, but literally from your local neighborhood. And that's the opportunity you have, to bring fresh, delicious produce to your local community. Thank you very much. Questions?
Do you have any studies that shows that on top of saving money, you have an increase of the development of any sort of specific vegetable or fruit or any specific development that you only achieve using your technology? An enhancement in terms of production-wise, volume, growth?
This particular information that's on this slide is actually from that research paper that we found, where when you take fruits and vegetables and grow them in the greenhouse where you can control the environment, you can actually grow them 2 to 4 times faster and yield 10 to 20 times. Those are actual numbers.
And are you also considering, for example, the states that are allowed to develop medical marijuana, for example, as a client?
That's a possibility, but I'm looking at produce in terms of getting fresh produce into the inner city, because the movement is to buy local. So that's one of the things I've been looking at. We didn't even look at the possibility of medical marijuana.
Yeah, it was just because it's a $5 billion market.
Now for the non-pot smoker, sure.
Have you guys, I get the trend of buy local, grow local, and it's great, it sounds wonderful. Most people you're going to talk to when you're asking for money care about money. So they're going to say, why aren't you going after more like, instead of the local side, why not go after first? You can do that as a secondary phase, right? Why can't you go first up to the big food production facilities.
Well, that's-
That's ideally.
Well,
the
in
highest.
talking with Village Farms, they're highly interested in this technology. Because if we can save them $800,000 for each greenhouse, and I believe they have 7 or 8 of them?
They have 7.
7. So when you figure that, that's $5.6 million that we could save them. On top of that, they can actually grow produce throughout the whole year.
Our pharmaceutical companies also have tremendous amount of greenhouse.
I'm not aware of that. Didn't look into that.
I was definitely checking that. I would say it's probably a bigger market even.
That's great.
What is so you're going to sell you're proposed to sell units, not systems, is that correct? So in other words, if there's an X square feet of size of a grow house, how many units will, what's the per square foot metric? Do you have one?
Well, the way that, I believe one greenhouse takes about, or the Village Farm takes about 13,000 lights, right?
13,000 in their Texas
Right.
vine tomatoes.
Yeah, 13,000 lights. So if we partner up with them, we're looking at the possibility of at least getting one of those greenhouses so we can test this thing out. It would be 13,000. So you figure 13,000 times 250.
How long does that Phillips light last?
The Philips light lasts about 6 years. 10,000 hours. And ours lasts about 25,000.
Okay, so then, what if they're already installed? What do you do? How do you convince them to get rid of them?
Well, obviously, we're going to be selling the entire light fixture. When you're looking at the savings in terms of the cost of operations, ours, right now, when we did this projection, we used 16 years as the projection. And at that point, we're replacing our lighting pattern. It's a light pattern that's produced.
Very interesting approaches you're taking here. One question I have, though, is I still don't really understand the size of the market. If I'm looking at 11,000 acres on the greenhouse right now, how many of them are actually using lights? It's not all greenhouse uses lights, right?
Well, those that are producing produce on a regular basis, they're using grow lights due to the fact that you have to understand based on the way the sun tilts and
No,
they're
I
in the
understand
atmosphere.
some are, but
Yeah.
do you guys have a sense of just how big that market, because it's a
The market-
sub-market of the greenhouse?
So right now, based on the research paper that we found that was done by that company,
Yeah.
they estimated $750 million worth of the market in 2011. Of course, we're here in 2013, and they're saying by 2018 it's going to be $4 billion. It could be more than that. And if we look at going into urban farming and taking over buildings and turn them into farms, it could be even greater than that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's hear it for